Hello, hello, and welcome to a sickly and not 100% live stream for Atlas Info Live. We're glad to have you here, and we apologize in advance for our voice and for any coughing or anything else that you have to endure for the duration of today's live stream. Suffice it to say, we've been ill now for quite some time. And we probably have pneumonia, although we haven't had that confirmed with an x-ray. But everyone in our family got sick at the same time. We were not exposed to anyone, but we have all of the COVID symptoms. And now my father has been hospitalized with pneumonia, and I have all the same symptoms that he has. But I didn't want to cancel a second week in a row, so we're going to do our best to get through this. And so for the next hour and a half, we're going to leave the world behind. We're going to leave our illness and all the pneumonia and everything behind. Hopefully we will keep our coughing and all that stuff to a minimum. So again, we do apologize for any of that, for that inconvenience. But we're glad to have you here. And it's kind of interesting, what we're going to be discussing today, because it just came out of nowhere on November the 8th. This film released on Netflix. Now, hopefully you've had an opportunity to see it. If not, we'll try to give you a brief synopsis of what it's about and who made it, and the buzz around it and the significance of that buzz as it relates to what it's actually trying to communicate, which we have yet to see anybody making those connections. So the film is called Leave the World Behind. It stars Julia Roberts and Ethan Hawke, and also Kevin Bacon. I apologize if I don't remember the other actors' names. And it's about a family from New York who rents a very nice house on, I guess it's called Long Island, and they rent it on Airbnb or whatever, and they have the intention of spending the weekend together as a family in this luxury home when everything sort of goes to hell. All of the phones, the TVs, the networks, everything goes down. There's apparently a huge blackout in the city, but they can't get any information, and they eventually get trapped on Long Island. The one freeway heading back to the city or Jersey or wherever they could possibly go becomes blocked, and the way it becomes blocked is rather interesting. And the owners of the house return to the house because of the blackout in the city, and they get all scared, and they said, well, let's just go home. That's the safest place to be. And so you have this immediate conflict between the family who's rented the house from the owner and the owner who returns to the house. And well, let's just say the drama ensues and the mystery ensues from there. There's a whole lot we could go through in terms of what's going on in this film, but the buzz around this film is that it's an apocalyptic film, and that it's there are two major camps communicating their problems with this film. The one camp is focusing on the so-called wokeness. There is a whole contingency of people who believe that this film is it's woke propaganda, and that it's racist towards white people, because the white family is not shown in the best light. Let's say Julia Roberts and Ethan Hawke and their kids are not shown in the best possible light, and the owners of the house happen to be people of color. And so there's this, and the daughter of the father, it's a father and daughter owners of the house, and the daughter is quite snarky towards Julia Roberts and the family. It's a quite prickly situation. Gets off the ground. But a lot of people are focusing on the wokeness, that this is woke propaganda, and that's the primary purpose of this, is to make white people feel bad and guilty and ashamed, and to make them look stupid and incompetent, etc., etc. Because most of the white people aren't shown in a very positive light at all. But there's another camp, another contingency, who, of course, are focusing on the actual technical aspects of the collapse of the networks, the telephones. There's a drone flying overhead, scattering pamphlets, leaflets that are in Arabic, that are demanding death to America. And there's other things going on that indicate some kind of a cyber attack. The satellites don't work. The GPS doesn't work. Satellite phones don't work. So there seems to be, and then eventually we see more dramatic indications of things not working. We see evidence of planes crashing, and we actually see a plane crash. And so there's all kinds of stuff going on the fritz. Everything's digital, everything's hooked up to the network, and it's all going down. And we're going to get into some of the details of all of this. And a lot of people then are focusing on the predictive programming aspect of this film. They're saying that we are being conditioned, we are being prepared for how they're going to do the Great Reset, or to take down the United States or Western civilization, for that matter. That this film is actually showing us a blow-by-blow, play-by-play of how that's going to go and how they're going to do it. And it's predictive programming, like they claim the media does all the time. So in other words, there's the whole conspiracy camp. So you have the anti-woke camp on one side, and you have the conspiracy camp on the other. And most of the chatter around this film relates to one of those two camps, or focuses, if you will, on what this film is about and what its purpose is, what its intention is. But of course, you come to our live streams to get a different perspective on things. And when we watched this film, we were immediately struck by a few signs and symbols, by things that were taking place which were too prominent to be ignored, too prominent to be accidental. And I guess we might as well get into it. We took some screenshots, and we'll play some. We have to be careful on what we show and how much we show, because we don't want to get copyright struck, especially in the middle of a live stream, because they'll take us down, and they'll put an end to the live stream. So Hopefully, we have a way of showing what we want to show you without triggering any copyright issues. But we'll get into that in just a minute. These are just some screenshots we took while the film was playing. Uh, Esmail or Esmail, it's Sam Esmail is the filmmaker. But it's interesting because his name has biblical significance. It's Ishmael and from the Bible. But that's his name. That's neither here nor there, right? That can be coincidental. It could very easily be coincidental. But is it coincidental that this film was produced by a company called Red Olm Films? Red Olm. Red Olm is one of the production companies. The other production company is called Higher Ground. That could be coincidental. Could just, just happen to be that the these production companies happen to, I don't know, like the material, or they know Sam Ishmael, the director and the writer. It's based on a book. Anyway, we just felt right off the bat these were sending a certain signal that there's something more going on in this. Don't just look at the surface level. This is the opening shot, and the whole opening sequence is just zooming in on the earth, closer and closer and closer and closer, until eventually we zoom in on the street where the family lives in New York, who are about to go on their weekend getaway. But we will encounter these images of the earth, the round earth, the globe, several times throughout the course of the film. In fact, the film is broken up into parts, and part 2 is called The Curve. And while there is a contextual reason for them to call the second part of the film The Curve, in terms of a curveball, something unexpected, in the context of what we're going to be getting into and what we're going to be showing you, in the context of this shot and the shot immediately following this title screen, the next shot is this: the curvature of the earth. Now, no doubt there might be flat earthers out there who are, running interference and dreaming up all kinds of conspiracy theories around how this film is just round earth propaganda, which, may be true from their perspective, right? But the importance of curves and curvature and roundness is emphasized, especially in this particular shot, because there's a satellite in it. And satellites, geosynchronous satellites, point to a certain place on the earth. Lastly, I took a screenshot. This is the last screenshot I took, because after this I was like, I'm going to focus on just watching, and anything else I'll try to record timestamps or whatever. This is the bedroom where they sleep, and I couldn't help but notice. Make this bigger for you. You see well, number one, the girl is wearing a NASA t-shirt. And if you notice in the background here, that wallpaper is is an ocean. Potentially, you don't see any land in that wallpaper. There's no land whatsoever. It's just ocean, and it's open ocean, and it's quite choppy waves. It's what one might imagine surface of the earth looks like, let's say, I don't know, after the Great Flood. These right off the bat, let's see what let's take a pause just for a minute, because we've got some comments already. Benjamin says, "Oh yeah, I'm losing phone signal, even complete phone service in a particular part of LA." And Azazel, oops, sorry, forgot to put that on the screen. And Azazel says, they just happen to be Kenobi fans. We didn't watch Kenobi. Is there lots of water in Kenobi? We'll take your word for it. The next thing that we wanted to show, this happens early on, by the way, in the movie. So let's just see if we can pull this up. Let's shift you back there, and we're going to switch to this. Okay, this is about 13 minutes into the film. They're lying on the beach. They're just sunning themselves. They're reading. You're doing what normally you do on the beach, and then they notice something. Any if anybody has any more requests to see anything that you saw, you want to see it again, then let us know. Otherwise, we'll just get into the rest of the discussion about this. Azazel said, "Oops." Kage said, "On cue," and Azazel said, "Yeah, we had the feeling it would happen." You had the feeling what would happen? You'll have to elaborate, Azazel. Okay, I guess we can go back to our little. Okay, so what we wanted to mention is this film is filled with eclipses and exoteric distractions, and if you want to call it propaganda, sure. And the propaganda, the exoteric propaganda for the masses, is the survivalist messaging. What Kathy just said about having a bunker in New Jersey, the last this movie is a propaganda piece for being a prepper, a doomsday prepper, and then that last few shots of that basement, of that bunker, those were glamour shots. The fact that Julia Roberts is an advertising executive plays into this. Selling people shit that they don't need. This movie is selling people bunkers. Kagemusha says, Gathering, the movie is recommended viewing. Definitely watching. Well, we tried to show you the crux of it, of no bunker, okay, is going to protect you from this, right? No underground anything is going to protect you from this. So but underground bunkers are what they're going to be selling people. Because the underground bunker is the primal survival instinct. Kathy says these bunkers are hydraulically sealed. Well, that's all well and good, but if the land that they're under goes under the ocean, then that, whether they're hydraulically sealed or not, they're not. They've just basically built an elaborate tomb for themselves. It doesn't matter how you slice it. These bunkers are all going to be tombs, because you you have to try to use your imagination to comprehend the type of seismic activity and the type of geological changes and catastrophes this kind of crust shift will create. This is like, it doesn't matter how well you construct your bunker. If it's covered in 400 tons of rubble, you're just living in an elaborate tomb. Even if the bunker does survive somehow, you're living in a tomb, because eventually your air will run out. Eventually your water and your food will run out. But you won't be able to get out. Either you're going to be underwater, or you're going to be under hundreds and hundreds of tons of rubble. Either way, you're not getting out. So, it's just mechanical nature doing what it does. And that's, preparing humanity, but preparing humanity in the wrong way. Because mechanical nature doesn't want 7 billion people, 8 billion people to survive this. It doesn't need 8 billion people to survive this. There will be survivors, but most of who survive this aren't going to be the ones who are building bunkers underground. They're going to be the Aboriginal peoples who already live in jungles, and in the ones who already know how to live off the land. Ones who already know how to, the ones who already live a primal subsistence already. They are the ones who will be able to adapt to whatever catastrophic changes happens, because they can make shelter out of like bark and reeds and whatever they can find. They can make weapons out of just about anything that they find. And they can hunt, and they can track, and they can they have these primal survival capacities, because that's all they have. They can make fire like this, right? They can make fire with sticks or stones or whatever they have lying around, and they can make a fire. And they can make shelter, and they will survive. Not all of them, but many of them will. Many of them will. Because they don't live in cities, and they don't live surrounded by concrete jungles that can collapse and bury them in literally hundreds and hundreds of tons of rubble. They're in the wilderness, they're in the jungles, they're in the forest, they're in the on the savannah. And if those in sub-Saharan Africa, if sub-Saharan Africa moved from where it is now to the equator, or those who are living in the middle of Africa, Nigeria, and these other places, and they move into the northern hemisphere, things might, well, obviously things will be disrupted and be very, very chaotic. But it might be possible that some of these um, peoples the climate will be more advantageous to them than it currently is in terms of temperature and so on and so forth. It's hard to say. It's hard to say these kinds of specific, because the other thing too is that when Atlantis was destroyed, the entire continent sank into the bottom of the Atlantic Ocean. So we can't predict that any of the continents, except perhaps North America, um, will remain intact. North America, not least because of the prophecies around Turtle Island, but also because the North America is one of the most geologically stable landmasses on the planet, and the Canadian Shield, the geology of the Canadian Shield it has very, very, very little seismic activity. So it's possible that it's one of the reasons why Turtle Island is in all the prophecies of the end times prophecies as one of the life rafts or lifeboats for this humanity. Is that we don't know what's going to happen to Asia Minor or Major or Africa or Australia or any of the other or Europe for that matter. But this kind of catastrophic pole shift that we're showing here, I mean, everything's on the cards. The other thing to remember also, remember we pointed out the water in the bedroom, the wallpaper in the bedroom, everything's like a great flood. And we talked about tsunamis. Okay, what we didn't mention is all of the ice around the North Pole and the South Pole, all the northern hemisphere, southern hemisphere ice. If you shift the poles to the equator, all those ice sheets move to now the hottest points on planet Earth. So over the near term, because ice melts faster than it freezes, and that means that the ice that's at the poles shifts to the equator, all that ice is going to melt. So all the catastrophic sea level rise that they've been talking about with global warming, that's going to happen, but it's going to happen very rapidly. Very rapidly. In conjunction with everything else, right? You're not only going to be looking at, so again, Kathy, you were mentioning your friend showed you a bunker in New Jersey, okay, with the catastrophic sea level rise of the poles. Her bunker, even if it is watertight, New Jersey is going to be underwater. All the island of Manhattan is going to be like, first of all, the earthquakes and seismic activity is going to make everything collapse into the ocean. Like all the skyscrapers, all the buildings, everything, because nothing is earthquake proof in New York. So it's all going to collapse into the ocean, and then the sea level rise is going to come up. So your friend's bunker, waterproof or not waterproof, is going to be underwater. It's going to be underwater for years, if not decades. And if there was a drop in that part of the crust and the ocean rise and it covered it up, it might never come back up above water ever again. So in other words, this bunker stuff, this is not the answer. This is not the answer. This is not. There is no reliable, practical, meaningful, primal survival mechanism to work through this. So then the obvious question is that, well then what the hell? What do we do? What's the answer? Screwed that up. Why won't you go away? Let's try this again. Yeah, it's not a boat. Oh, Kathy agrees with us, by the way, about the bunker scenario. And it's not a boat. It's not a boat. It's not a plane. It's not a bunker. Don't bother trying to go to the top of a mountain or the bottom of a valley or the high ground, or because nothing is safe. Nothing is guaranteed. The planet is literally shedding its skin. So that's why you end up with people like Richard Branson and Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos and others who are looking to the stars. They're looking to shoot their rockets into space, right? They're looking for some kind of a space station solution to this problem. Kathy says the Merkabah is the answer. Well, the answer is to be one of the 144,000. Now, this is a symbolic number. It reduces Kabbalistically to 9. And that's the 9th sphere on the tree of life, which is Yesod. To be an upright 9. And yeah, if you want to talk about the Merkabah, the union, as above, so below, with the lower self and the higher self in the monad, union with the divine. It is not the bunker that needs to be hydraulically sealed. It is we who need to be hermetically sealed. The ark and the arch that we've shown you before in that meme of ours uh, let's make that bigger. So you see, the monad here is the Ark of Noah, and the relationship, we have the upper trinity, Keter, Hokmah, Binah, which are the seraphim that are above the box, the Ark of the Covenant, which is the relationship between Hokmah, Binah, Chesed, and Geburah, that holds Da'at, Gnosis. But in order for us to get onto the ark, we have to be an upright 9. We have to work with Yesod. And this triangle, the vital body, the astral body, and the mental body, we have to raise it. Oh, and the causal body, we have to raise this up so that we can attain union and awaken as a monad, self-realize. Because we're just down here we're trapped in the four bodies of sin, and we're just going to be panicking, and we're just going to be stuck in the primal survival instincts with everybody else. Because before the destruction happens, um, God always sends a messenger, warning of what's coming. And that messenger is responsible for building the ark. But this is the ark that matters most. This is the ark that we need to build, each and every one of us. And we can only build it using our sexual force, our sexual energy. And if we're wasting that sexual energy, we're not hermetically sealed. And if we're not hermetically sealed, we can't create the ark. Because before this catastrophe happens, the 144,000, all of the hermetically sealed, will be taken first to an island in the Pacific, and possibly, very likely, off planet. We will be taken. It's not going to be a rapture in the Christian sense, but we will be taken to a place where we will be safe while the planet undergoes this cleansing and this death and rebirth that it has to go. It has to shed its skin. It's a process that has to take place. This humanity has to die. And mechanical nature will see to it. And mechanical nature only wants the most primal, most animal remnants of humanity to survive. And those are going to be the ones who know nothing about what we're talking about here, and the ones who have never watched Netflix, and there's no risk of them watching Netflix, and they're not building bunkers, they're not worried about anything. They live in straw huts or in bamboo shacks. They climb trees for coconuts, and they hunt wild game on the savannah. And they live with their hands, they work with their hands, they kill with their hands. They dance to the beat of the drum. They have no books, they have no computers, they have no cell phones. They have no requirement for GPS. They have the memory of their ancestors, and they have their Gaia worship. They worship the earth. Earth is their god. Mechanical nature is their god, is their deity. And those are the ones who will survive. Those are the ones that the planet wants to survive, because they behave more or less in that primal animal way. They will survive, but will they really live? Are they really living now? That depends on your point of view. If you believe that that's what constitutes a human being, to live a primal animal existence, subsistence existence, then sure. But we know that that's not what a real human being is. It's barely even an intellectual animal. A human being is this. A human being is this. Human beings are this. And for a new golden age to ever happen, humanity needs awakened, enlightened, true human beings. Need to be Buddhas. And yeah, the primal, animal, wild, savage Aboriginal people will still be around. Pockets of them will still survive, but they will want nothing to do with us, and will want nothing to do with the golden age. But they may have to be taught. They may have to be educated, or maybe they will recognize that maybe their whole worldview and everything else will come crashing down around them as they attempt to survive this uh, calamitous event. And who knows? Maybe they will be very receptive to being exposed to metaphysical science and high technology. I don't mean technology that we have, the technology that we will have, metaphysical science, the technology with which our golden age was able to do things like build the pyramids. We have the science of sound, the science of the fourth dimension. And we won't be bound to this materialism anymore, because we will be a humanity that's awake. That's the only way a golden age can rise again. Benjamin says, what if it will only be a matrix reset and we'll be back for the prison with no bars? And he follows that up and he says, or it can very, very well be an escape from prison. Well, in answer to your first question, this is why it's so important that those who are chosen to create the new golden age be of the 144,000, be of the ninth sphere, be hermetically sealed, be Buddhas, be awakened, be enlightened. Precisely so that it won't be a recreation of the matrix. But make no mistake, the golden age only lasts about 1,000 years, give or take. It lasts a certain period of time. We try to stretch it out and make it last as long as we can. But the forces of mechanical nature, the forces of entropy, are very powerful, and the pull on this humanity is very strong. Because the egos we will be beset upon by egos and temptations, desires. And over many iterations, right, the law of the alm of life, the downward spiral of slow devolution, erosion, right? The law of entropy is absolute on this plane of existence, which means slowly the golden age will start to slowly decline. And eventually it'll reach a point where it's no longer a golden age. It's now a silver age. Every humanity is born and undergoes 4 stages of devolution. We're born in a very rapid explosion of evolution in the golden age, and we reach our height in the golden age. And then from there, it begins a slow decline. It in many ways, it's just like a human being. A human being is born and has a rapid growth phase and reaches maturity. Men reach their maturity at 18, women even at a younger age. And then for a period of time, we have that where we're living in our prime. Let's say 18 to 32, maybe 35, maybe. We're in our prime. And that's also for women, their prime reproductive cycle, where they're most able to conceive children and give birth to healthy children. Somewhere in that 16 to, at the outside, maybe 35. I know that there's women who are older than that conceive children and so on and so forth. But generally speaking, we're talking about prime now, not the outliers, but the prime. So somewhere between 16 and 35, you're talking about 20 years And then after 35, all of us who are older than 35 know that it's all downhill from there. No matter what we tell ourselves, it's inevitable. And the average lifespan of a human being is what, 60, 70, 80 years? And we have 20 years in there that's our prime. Let's say 16 to 35. Those are our prime years. And it's front loaded, right? It's front loaded because we have our childhood. So that's a very, very fast development, especially under puberty, right? And then we have these 20 years of our prime, and then it's all downhill from there. The golden age is like that. And then you move into silver, and then bronze, and then iron. And we are living in the iron age of this humanity. And the degradation, the devolution, the entropy is really an influence of subjective nature. It is the influence of mechanicity on humanity. Humanity becomes more and more mechanical. Our minds become more mechanical. We become more materialistic, mechanistic, externalized, more hypnotized by this three-dimensional world that we're in, that eclipses our true self and our true nature, our divine nature. Our mechanical nature eclipses our divine nature, which again, going back to the film, that shot from the moon, which is the pendulum for this planet that controls mechanical nature. The moon controls the tides. The moon controls women's reproductive cycles. The moon controls, like for example, every full moon, people go batshit crazy. The moon is the pendulum of the earth that controls all of mechanical nature. All the oscillations and the back and forth and the rhythms of nature are controlled by the moon. And so naturally, it is that mechanical nature and that view, that mechanical view of the planet, which eclipses the truth and our divine nature. What else can we really say about what we saw and what we've shared? Our focus must be on becoming hermetically sealed, becoming one of the 144,000, and helping others do so as well, because there's too few of us. As Azil says, well, it's self-evident, really. The world is not at peace, to say the least. If Kali Yuga was a Steam game, it would get a pretty bad review from me. um, you know, we get a pretty bad review from us as well. All this, the Mercury retrograde that we're in, and all the mechanicity and technicality that's standing between us and our book. You know, we got an email from Amazon stating that our book appears to be plagiarized, that it's been published elsewhere, and so they don't want to publish it. Clearly, it's some kind of technical snafu, some duplication of logins or the fact that we went with a different company to do the print book. We did a paperback and a hardcover with a different company so that we could reach more outlets, not just Amazon. But as a result of that, the hardcover and paperback have been published. So now Amazon is erroneously claiming that we must be trying to publish a book that's already been published, and so we need to show them proof that we're the copyright holders of the book. And it's all this procedural, bureaucratic bullshit, and it's all probably technically. It's probably not a single human being has even looked at the file. It's probably all AI driven. So some algorithm somewhere has made some kind of erroneous connection, or maybe it's even the fact that uh, uh, chapters of our book have elements that were taken from our blog or our website, and they said, "Oh, we found that online, so this must be plagiarized, or he must not have copyright." Uh, so anyway, so the long and the short of it is that it's very, very unlikely the book is going to be out before Christmas. So yeah, Azazel, if all this is a Steam game, we it's too late to get our money back. That's the problem. The worst we can do is leave a bad review. But talk about talk about uh, needing to cultivate patience, and talk about kicking the pants, or being tripped up when you see the finish line. You see it's now within reach. And you're literally steps away from it. And Benjamin's having a good laugh over this one. We have to laugh. We have to laugh because if we weren't laughing, we'd be sobbing uncontrollably. All this work, all this effort, all this time, and to think that we've had this book now, we finished it, and we submitted it to the publisher in September, and it's still not out. It's still not available, and it's like all these unforeseen things coming up. So think about that: September, October, November, and we're nearing the middle of December. We're past the middle of December now, right? We're past the middle of December. 2 more weeks, and we're in 2024. So Kathy says, yes, laugh out loud, laugh. And Azazel says, yeah, that was the worst part when it was taken away. And we'd be dead if we didn't laugh. But all of this is nothing. It's child's play compared to what's happening. Because frankly, all the exoteric aspects of this film, whether it's cyber attack or this or that, the other, there's another interesting part of this movie, by the way, where that that money manager is talking about his friend, and how his friend would joke about how he's going away for the weekend to hang out with his evil cabal of people ruling the world. And Julia Roberts questions him on that, and he says, "No, it's worse than that." He said he said all that was just a joke. He says he says, "You want to know the truth?" She goes, "Yeah." She goes, "The truth is, no one's in control." And that's an interesting thing. Is that the film suggests that there is no secret cabal ruling the world or whatever, because that's too easy an answer. And it's an oversimplification. The reality is that no one is in control, and it may seem like on the surface, or to a lot of people, or even the ones who are trying to gain control and be in control, they suffer because they can never get control. That was another interesting suggestion or a tidbit the film is offering on an exoteric level to all those conspiracy theorists and everything else is that the only thing scarier than an evil cabal in control of the world is no cabal. There's no group in control, is that no one's in control. Because the implication there is that then you have complete chaos and we're all at the mercy of basically the forces of chaos. That's the implication of the suggestion anyway. And certainly all those people with their billions of dollars, all those that 1% or the 1% of the 1%, they hate not being in control. There's nothing they want more than to be in control. And so that's another little aspect of this film that's worthwhile to meditate on, because we know for a fact that whether there are people in control or not, they're all driven by fear. Whether they have control or they just want control, the desire for control is fear. The desire to be in control. The desire to be in control of one's fate. The desire to overcome death. Again, primal animal instincts, but expressing themselves through someone who has billions of dollars to spend. And they're spending it on some of the most ridiculous things and ridiculous projects you can imagine. Just, because we've been ill and we haven't had a lot of energy, a lot of strength to work on stuff. So we've been watching a lot of YouTube videos, and some of these projects that they're building in the Middle East and Saudi Arabia and stuff like that, these enormous mega projects, like Egypt is building a new capital city and Saudi Arabia is building their, and it's just, these are colossal, boondoggles of a size and scope and scale and amount of money, which is mind-boggling. We're talking about $500 billion boondoggles, and it's just absolute. It's just insanity. Just insanity. These are countries where the vast majority of the population make less than $120 a month, and they're blowing hundreds of billions of dollars on creating these oversized. One of the YouTubers that we watch, Adam something, he described it as the great dictator measuring game, where the dictators of the world are basically measuring the size of their dicks based on the size of their all these countries are wanting to, and at the center of their new capital cities or new mega projects, they're all trying to build the world's tallest flagpole to fly their nation's flag from. It really is just nonsense. Ego gone amok. Like, just, it really is worthwhile going and watching some of these videos just to educate yourself of just all those people who say, no, you need your ego and your ego is your friend and blah, 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 blah. These people are so absolutely and utterly blind and in the dark, deaf, dumb, blind, and stupid. They cannot see the forest for the trees. You spend 5 minutes on YouTube and you see nothing but ego run amok. You spend 5 minutes anywhere in the world and you see nothing but ego run amok. And what corporations are doing, and child exploitation. It goes on and on and on and on. It's all mechanical nature, heartless, soulless, mechanical nature that just wants more and more and more and more and more. That's just right. It's just running its program. It's running its program. It's the Matrix. But it's so clever and it's so subtle and it's so convincing in here. Just like Gollum and Smeagol. Poor Smeagol, poor Smeagol. Who saved Smeagol? Who helped Smeagol? Gollum. Well, 2 hours. We think that's a fair time, considering we're most likely have pneumonia. It's a weird thing we've had. Like we said, we've been sick for 2 weeks, and we've been coughing up this stuff constantly. Our dad's in isolation in the hospital. We can't even go see him. We hope not to end up there. We don't plan to end up there. We're just resting, relaxing, trying to take it easy. But we didn't want to skip another live stream. Didn't want to skip 2 in a row. So this came up. We wanted to just share with you the insights that we were given. And there you have it. Kathy says, thank you. Feel better. Thanks, Kathy. Thanks for being here. And as I said, the kind that makes you almost puke. No. The what comes up is phlegm from the lungs. So it's not a gastrointestinal thing. It's a pulmonary stuff. So what keeps coming up is phlegm from the lungs, from the bottom of the lungs, no less. So it's got quite a way to come. So thank you all for joining us again today. If anybody has any questions, quickly here's your chance now to ask them before we sign off. But we're going to call it a day at 2 hours. We feel ourselves fading fast. So if you haven't seen the film Leave the World Behind, then in a way we recommend it. See what you can see. And if not, then we'll see you all next week. Benjamin says some tea should do the trick with lemon. We've been drinking so much tea. We have the special tea we drink called Echinacea Throat Coat. It's lemon. It has lemon, and we put lemon in it and honey. And we've been drinking that, like 2 liters of that every day for 2 weeks now. So yeah, lemon helps. Kathy says mullein drops lungs. Mullein drops lungs. Kage says Sunday's on point. Thank you. And Azazel says we completely lost our appetite for weeks once when we had bronchitis coughing up loads of mucus. Well, we did a 3-day fast to try to help, but we got our appetite back. So our appetite is pretty good. We were born with bronchitis, so we have bronchitis once a year. So we're not what do you call it? We're not turned off by it by any means. It's an old friend. It's an old companion. And Azazel says, do you use incense? No, we use essential oils is what we've been mostly using lately. So no, we don't. We especially not in a condition like this. We wouldn't burn. We wouldn't be burning anything. But we've been using essential oils. It hasn't really been helping the lung situation. But no, we just got to go. We got to let it run its course, I think is the expression that they say. So, all right. Thank you, everyone. Have a great week. Hopefully, we'll have some good news on the book front, and we'll have some news to share. Azazel says, okay, have a great evening. Thanks, Azazel. You too. Everyone, take care of yourselves. And as always, thank you for being us. Thank you for being with us. Thank you for being here. Hopefully, we'll see you next week. And until then, take care. Inferential peace.